Okay, we are here and we are live with Turtle Talk, and I and my co-host Barbara Three Crow, and I'm Walking Turtle. In case you didn't know, we have a really good show today, and it is a first. And I'm going to make a couple of announcements, and then we'll get into it. But I want you to know that we actually have a topic today. We start the show with a topic, and this is groundbreaking for many of those who already know from our previous shows. We usually come on and we just start talking, but today, we've been doing this a long time. You guys listening to us, you've been right there with us, all working toward the same goals, and we're all experiencing the same issues. We're all having the same feelings about what is going on. We talk about it a lot, and that is the fact that there are so many people still, even though they are living within these changes that we've talked about were coming for years and years and years, and they're finally here, and they're finally in your face. You can't deny them. Still, the people are not reacting. It's as if it's just another day, and it's just a show, and you can turn it off whenever you want. Apathy. And that's what we're going to discuss today, social engineering and the rise of apathy. What it means. What can we do to change it? Is there anything we can do to change it? And how did we get here in the first place? These are the things that we really want to talk about today. And so we'd like a little bit of chat participation. If you have comments, if you would like for us to discuss certain aspects of this, if you have experiences that you would like for us to know, we want to know. We want to be able to talk with you, to have a dialogue with you. So please join us in chat. Don't be afraid. We want to open this discussion. And I also have some announcements to make. I know that we talked, I think it was last week, about TCT and about possibly having to shut down TCT due to funds and other issues. Well, it seems that through the wonderful help of Haggy Shack Radio and the people behind Haggy Shack Radio, Colleen, Nancy, we do have a new home. We're not there yet. It's in waiting, being constructed as we speak. And on the 15th of May, please mark that on your calendars. The 15th of May, we will be switching over to a new site. We will post the information for the new site on our current site so that you can see it, get to it, get the links. And we also will be switching to a new server. So we'll have all that information for you, but I want to give a big shout out and thanks to Haggy Shack Radio for bearing with us, for helping us through this hard time. And I would like to call out, I don't do this, and everybody knows I don't, but it's about time. If you would like to help in any way you can pass the links around, you can pass our shows around, you can tell people about TCT Radio, about Haggy Shack Radio, and if you would like to help us out monetarily, you can do that also. Haggy Shack Radio does have a donate button. Please just go over there. $1 helps to go a long way. And TCT does not have a donate button, but if you wanted to donate directly through PayPal, you could do so at tctradio@mail.com, and we would gladly put that towards operating expenses. But your support is more than just monetary. The simple fact of you passing the links around, letting people know when the shows are on, all of these things will go a long way to getting us where we need to be. So I just wanted to get that out there. And I guess what we want to do today is discuss the rise of apathy that has taken over the world. It's not just a U.S. phenomenon, although it is really doing well here. It is global, and it is purposeful. This isn't something that people just decided, I don't want to care. It's not like that. This is engineered. It's social engineering, just like everything in our lives. From the time you are born till the time you die, you are under social engineering for a specific agenda. And everything that surrounds your life is part of this agenda. This is why we have had such a hard time in finding the truth and in putting the truth out there, because this is what they don't want you to know, that your whole life is based on fallacies, is based on realities that have no substance. They were created, they were manufactured, and they have no bearing on the truth. And every time that we make an inroad, which we have, and we are, every time, though, they have something to counteract us, to keep people in this sense of apathy, this movement of it's too great of a problem, it's too massive, and I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to hear about it. There's nothing I can do. All of this is socially generated for us. These are the things that they give us. But there's another way. There is a truth behind this that sets us free. This is what we want to find. This is where we want to get. Because if we can shake the apathy of this global movement, this global agenda, then we have a real chance at changing the whole structure of society and bringing it back to the reality of truth instead of the reality of the agenda. So we want to talk about this today, and we've got a couple of articles and stuff. I'm going to make my way to chat, and we'll be posting links to the articles we're reading, and I hope that you take the time to read these articles. If you find information in here that is usable to you, then please pass these links around. Post them on your social media. Get the word out. Let people know. You know, we're taught today that don't shake the boat. You know, don't stand up and make a fuss. You'll be ridiculed. You'll be talked about. You'll be a conspiracy theorist. But the fact is it doesn't work like that anymore. It used to work like that. They used to call us conspiracy theorists and boo-hoo us and walk away. But it's not happening anymore, and the reason is because we didn't give up. We kept telling the truth, and now the truth is in the face of every individual. You can look up and see it. You can go to the supermarket and see it. You can listen to your government and see it. You can look at your local community police forces and see it. You can look at your local communities and see it. It's now knocking on your door. So we are winning the fight, but there is still a massive amount of people who are suffering from this engineered apathy. And it's something that we need to talk about. So we're going to talk about it, Barb.
Hey, yes, we are. Yeah, so this title actually, remember, keep tuned to this word apathy, because as we read through this first bit of information here, just keep remembering the word apathy. It does say it's deficient. It's like vitamin deficiency or something, you know. But what it really is, it's empathy deficient. Apathy is being indifferent. It's being unconscious. It's being dispirited. And I think this is very important because as compared to empathy, which is compassion and understanding and responsiveness and connectedness. So we're looking at these two pieces here. And apathy it's hardly natural. It really is not natural, and that's why we kind of been questioning what's going on. What's going on with our people? All over the world, we see this apathy rising, this disconnect, and it even goes so far as to say that apathy is boredom and laziness. It's sort of like you can't move. You're just stuck. So it's hardly natural. And we're looking into, it's chemically induced. We realize this, and this is what this one link is talking about here. It's about nutrient-devoid food. It's about debt slavery. It's about complete control. And I think this whole thing links to the New World Order. And but we're all kind of suffering from all these issues here that they are manipulating in our lives, right? Because we all eat the food, we all drink the water, and we are pretty much, a lot of people are pretty much stuck in the mainstream media influence and so on, and so we're all involved in this deficiency of empathy, which is called apathy. So I'm going to start to go through this a little bit, and I'll stop periodically, and we can discuss what's being said here. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'm really excited about our transition coming up, that we can stay on the air and bring all this really important information to people, and of course our perspectives. And as we always say, it's our perspective. We do a lot of research. We put pieces together to the great big puzzle, and we hope that you can hold on with us while we do this and receive something that will help and be beneficial. So most of the population is so brain damaged they will never even realize beyond a slight sense of something being wrong, like you might experience, for instance, if you lost your car keys or you forgot something and you had a sense of it, because it's your routine. It's like brushing your teeth. If you go out of the house without brushing your teeth, at some point you're going to say, I forgot to brush my teeth. That's routine. But crisis by design to wear you down and make you feel helpless and in need of your government, okay? This is the globalist agenda for a dumbed-down, domesticated society. You could call it a prison planet special, prison planet. So I think it's a few things. Food is purposely shipped around the world, and whoever thinks of this stuff. I mean, I didn't really know this, but so our food is shipped around the world, devoid of nutrition. That's crazy, right? But it's true. All of the food that is grown locally is sent to Mexico, and their food is sent here. And there's probably other places, I'm sure, that we get foods long distance, and there are literally thousands of toxic food additives as well, and that with some checking you will find find the only thing they have in common is that they make you stupid, they make you sterile, and yes, they can cause cancer, like, for instance, Coke and Pepsi with caramel coloring. But there's just something else in Coke and Pepsi, because I've known this pretty much a long time, that if you pour Coke or Pepsi on your car, it will eat the paint off. What is in that stuff? Oh, it has less expensive alternatives, so why is it that they use this one? And this person who's writing this speculates when 999 out of 1,000 food additives are poison. It's no longer an accident. It is intentional. This person says they had to laugh when sugar alternatives turn out to behave as birth control among certain indigenous tribes of Paraguay and the state of Mato Grosso in Brazil. The women actually used the stevia rebaudiana, as an oral contraceptive. And, there are 50, probably more, jaw-dropping toxic food ingredients and artificial additives to avoid. And we're not going to go through those right now, but you can probably look that up. And 50 only because I think this is 40 more than I need to prove my point. But he's going to go through some of these here. And fluoride fluoride is on the top of the list. And, fluoride, I don't know, years ago when fluoride first started to come into my awareness, right away it was just my instinct was something's wrong here. It is poison and it's toxic. Of course, the government says, trust us, trust us. Well, we know we cannot, but to the degree they are working as farmhands and you are the chattel, one can hardly imagine. But it's true, they are poisoning your water and the health products. My local pharmacy even has fluoride water and tablets for babies now. And even the baby formula has fluoride in it. But what's often overlooked is much of the cattle are fed products with fluoride and fluoride remaining fat. But that's not the end of it. Non-organic pesticides are mostly fluoride pesticides. And if that's not bad enough, even if you are eating organic, if the organic plants are watered with fluoridated water, your organic food is fluoridated not from residues, but because fluoride is water-soluble, and uptake to plants suffers no loss of filtration as some expect. Is there anything you want to say, Patty, about that fluoride information?
Yeah, fluoride is the result of a biochemical used in warfare. It's where it came from. It was discovered, I think, through Hitler's reign, and after the World War II, it was brought to the United States. It is a byproduct of processing, and it was used.
So it's like a waste, right?
Yes, it was a waste product, but they found out that it would kill rats. That it would damage the brain, and so of course the governments and the agenda saw this as a tool in warfare, and Hitler was, I think, one of the first to have used it. When it came here, though, the companies, the corporate nature of this system, they thought, well, we've got this byproduct here, it's a waste product, and we have to pay to get rid of it. What if we put a label on it, said it was good for you, and put it in the water supply? Then everybody would want it, they would pay us for it, and we would be good to go. Now,
but whether they want it or not, right? Whether
right.
they want it or not, they'll just put it in and say it's good for you.
Yeah, and the corporations may not have intended to cause harm. It may not have been their intention. They just wanted to get rid of this waste product, right? So they saw a venue that would allow them to do this. So they lobbied and they got their wish, and they were able to market this and make a profit from this waste product. This is not unheard of in the corporate sector. All types of waste products are marketed as something else, rather than them having to pay the cost of getting rid of this waste. This is corporate nature. It's what they do. The government, however, was well aware of the effects of fluoride before they ever started putting it in the water system. They knew, and they willingly and probably helped them, the corporate sector, to get this out to the public and in the water systems. It was an agenda. It was an agenda because it had already been proven to make people docile. And that is part of this dumbing down process that they have been utilizing on us. We talk a lot, Barbara, about how they came in and systematically entered into the family, destroying it by pulling out people and putting them into the cities, by breaking down the family unit, by causing both parents to get out and work, by the educational system, all of the women's rights movements. I know that there are women out there who think that the women's rights movement was the best thing to ever happen to women, but it was the wrong way to happen. We did need rights, and we were right to stand up for them, but we played their game. We didn't do it on our own. We didn't do it for our purpose. We did it for their purpose, unwittingly, yet we did. And what happened was we destroyed the family unit. This was also part of the dumbing down. And we see the result of that today. I know I'm getting off of fluoride, but it's all
hold on.
Connected.
Okay, hold on, because it is interconnected. Because what does it mean that they destroyed the family unit? Because now you have two parents working, and where do the children go? And this was their agenda, to take the children. So that's part of this too, is get the children out of this secure, family situation, and take the children so that they could control whatever happens to those children. So, when your children are not in your home, they can basically do anything to those children. They have programs set up, and so now let's just take the fluoride. So, let's say that you don't particularly agree about the fluoride, or you don't know anything about fluoride. It's under the guise of it will keep your teeth from cavities, and that's really a big lie. But your children are subjected to whatever that system wants to do, or what they propose, or how they set it up. About fluoride, for instance, it is supposedly to keep preventing cavities, but that is a lie. As a matter of fact, after World War II, they started putting fluoride in all the water systems. So, your water, if you live in a city and a town, your water goes through a systematic purification, cleaning, and restructuring, and whatever they do to the water, so that when it comes out of your faucet, it's, supposed to be drinkable. But there's chlorine in the water, severe chlorine, and fluoride also. And a lot of the rivers are drinking water. So they have to really detoxify this water courses, because we know the rivers are polluted with many things. So what you're drinking, you got to be aware of it. It's in your toothpaste. Now, like this person said, it's in baby bottles, baby waters, and so on and so forth. And milk, it comes through milk because cows are getting water from the faucets too, or the hoses that are hooked up to fluoride systems. And so it's becoming really quite a nightmare. But there's a really interesting thing about this fluoride, because in England or the UK somewhere, this was about 15 years I read this, there was actually lawsuits against the United States government for introducing fluoride to that country. Obviously, it was introduced, and probably introduced to other countries too that we don't know about, because they found out that there was tests done from the date, the timeline of when fluoride started to be introduced into these countries. They noticed spikes in cancers in children, bone, affecting the bones, also affecting the teeth, what they call mottling. So children's teeth were actually turning yellow and had grooves. And had grooves in them. And they tracked that to the time that fluoride started to be put in the water. So just so you know. Yeah, that's our government. And we don't even know these things. You think, yes, here's the toothpaste with the fluoride in it, brush your teeth. You're trying to help your child, and you're innocent to this. You don't know.
It's not.
But here,
yeah, I want to.
The advice I say is you have to read the labels of what you're giving, what you're eating, what you're giving to your children. It's all written down. It's all written down. If you can't pronounce it, be suspicious.
Right. I just wanted to, talking to Now O'Clock, she put into the chat, I hear that claim, feminists destroyed the family so much, but gosh, why don't people look at the reasons women leave relationships rather than feminists for working so they now have somewhere to go when they leave? It's not that feminists destroyed the family, Now O'Clock. What we're saying is the engineered rise of women's rights, that whole initiative was not the women. That was the agenda being played out. They hijacked it. The women did need to rise up. We did need to rise up. We did need to stand for our rights. We did need to have our voices heard. We did need to be recognized. We did need to have the rights. That is the truth of it. But it was hijacked, just like everything else that we try to do to change things for the better. It is hijacked, and they give us their solutions. That's what we're talking about. The feminist movement was indeed genuine. But what they did was they took our movement and turned it into an agenda with a result that would be more harmful than it would be good. It's not an attack against feminists. This is not what I was saying. What it simply is that we did not get what we asked for, what we wanted, and what we needed. We got what they wanted us to get, which is where we are now, the destruction of the family. These things that we're experiencing now with our children, within our homes, within the divorce rate, within all of these things that are happening, this is a construct. This is not where the feminist movement wanted to go, is it? This isn't what we meant when we stood up and said we want our rights. We did not want our families destroyed, did we? Is that what we wanted? Did we want to break the family apart and tear them apart? Did we want to separate the bonds of birth and of life and of family? No, that's not what we wanted. We wanted to strengthen the family by giving our rightful place and voice to the world. But that's not what happened. This is what I'm saying. I hope that explains that a little bit better.
And I agree with you there on that, and I know that that is a little bit of a controversy, and I think if people do their research about this, they will find out that that's exactly what happened. It's sort of like they saw a possibility where they could actually manipulate the family and break the family apart. I don't think that any mother, any young mother, any woman would want to leave her baby in the hands of other people. You know, I don't think that's not what a mother would want to do. But also you have to think about, well, what they call the job of motherhood. You know, it's a big job, and nobody was ever recognized for that, you know, for sure. And it was actually looked down upon. You know, it's no big deal. You're a mother, that's your job, that's your position, you know. But it's a huge job to be a mother and run a household, you know. And it's not that I'm saying everybody, that's what women are meant to do. That's not, you know, that's another part of this struggle, you know. It's like a choice. If you want to have a family and you want to be a stay-at-home mom, you know, that's your choice, and that's okay, you know. And yeah, and about the women rights for equal pay and so on, so that's not even happened. How long has it been that women have been, you know, struggling to get recognized, not only just for equal pay, but just as, you know, to be respected, you know. So there's all of that too. But I'm going to go on here with aluminum. Aluminum is another issue here. An atmosphere, it's in the atmosphere and it's in the water, and there are levels beyond what would be labeled toxic if you found it in bottled water. Aluminum, new factor in the decline of bee populations. And we do know that chemtrails are killing bees, amongst other things. Very high amounts of aluminum contamination has been found in bees, actually, raising the question of whether aluminum-induced cognitive dysfunction is playing a role in the decline of bumblebee populations. Aluminum is Earth's most ubiquitous ecotoxicant and is already known to be responsible for the death of fish in acid lakes, forest decline in acidified and nutrient-impoverished catchments, and low crop productivity on acid sulfate soils. Okay, but where is the aluminum coming from? That's the question. And there's written here very large, in quotes, you'd have to be blind, stubborn, and dumb not to realize that it is coming from contrails. This is a quote by Premier Bill van der Zalm, and I kind of agree with that. You know, there's a lot of other things in chemtrails, though, And it's affecting not only the bee population, of course, those are pollinators, so it's going to affect other pollinators as well, like bats, and they're finding that problem too. And it's affecting our own health and well-being and going into the soils, and so it's sort of like those tentacles of these chemicals that are affecting us and all of nature. So chemtrails. Do you want to say anything about the aluminum, Patty, before I go into chemtrails? Our coming environmental catastrophe, and I don't think it's coming, I think it is present, an environmental catastrophe, chemtrails, geoengineering, and weather warfare. So, in 1995, the Pentagon had a military study released claiming that they could and would own the weather by 2025. And I think they're already there. I do. And they are seemingly well beyond their initial projections, and I do believe that. So, as far as the chemtrails, they moved here quickly to geoengineering, which is part of that, the weather patterns. I think some of us who are researchers have been talking about the strange weather patterns. We've noted, unusual patterns of storms and the acceleration, of course, the excessiveness of certain things that are unprecedented, 500-year-old floods and so on and so forth. We were talking about that. You guys were talking about that the other day. But, so this is a part of their New World Order and control. The chemtrails are affecting people's health. And we've been on top of that, researching it. And we jokingly, I think you, Patty, jokingly said a couple of years ago that you have a chemtrail cough. Remember that?
Yes, I still have it. Yeah.
But I think you were the first one I ever heard say, I've got the chemtrail cough, and that now, yes, you still have it, and there are numerous, I can't even count them or even give a number of people who have this cough. I was watching this video today of this guy from India. He's a teacher, a healer, a guru, or whatever. He's talking in front of hundreds of people in I don't know where they were, Colorado, California, and this guy had that cough. I can identify that cough. It's the same cough. And I've been on the streets, and I hear people with that cough. Amy Goodman of Democracy Now! Came down with this cough during the time of when she was at Standing Rock. It wasn't long after that. She started to have this horrific cough. And then there's, of course, talk about they were spraying something there, on the people on Standing Rock. They were all talking about the sickness that they were having. So anyway, you want to say anything about that?
Well, as far as the chemtrail cough, it's worldwide. It's
yep.
not localized to the U.S. Or North American continent. This is something that everyone is experiencing, and when you go to the doctor, they're giving you this, what cropped up a few years ago, the new lung disease, COPD,
yeah.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
Right.
And so what does this tell us? That they were already ready for this.
Yeah.
They knew this was coming. Again, we see this agenda being played out incrementally, step by step. They know, and they've already got the health industry set up for a new profit-driven disease caused by the work of governments and these climate engineers. And again, nobody's immune to this. The chemtrails are everywhere, and they are not changed. It used to be, no, there's no such thing as chemtrails. Those are contrails. No, we're not doing weather modifications, so it can't possibly be what you're thinking. Well, I don't know where you're getting all that high aluminum in your lakes and in your forests, and I don't know how it's killing the trees, because we're not spraying it. Now, We are spraying it. We are going to do it. Yeah, we've decided we're going to do it. You know, and we've been watching chemtrails for how many years? Decades?
Yeah.
You know? And they've denied it, but all of a sudden, they're telling us they are doing it, but they're just starting it now. Just starting it now, right?
Well, and their plan, and I don't know if you're speaking about the particular Harvard scientist who the study there. He came up with this brilliant idea, and I got this right away. I said, okay, so now they're admitting that that they are going to do this, put that stuff in the water, aluminum, or in the air, aluminum, and all that stuff, because Harvard has done a study, and they're really concerned about global warming, but they came up with a solution, and the solution is just to create this shield above the earth filled with this stuff that's in chemtrails. So they are now admitting that this is, like you said, well, this is what we're going to use. We're going to save the planet from global warming because that will shelter the earth from global warming. The sun's rays and whatever else is creating all this global warming, which is a big lie. It is a big lie, but now it's okay. They'll be spraying the chemtrail stuff, and everybody will go, oh, big sigh, they're going to save us. Now it's okay because the Harvard, scientists are on this,
Yeah, and you know what I find really, really telling about this is that we have the scared. First, it was global warming, and we're all going to be inundated with water. We're going to lose coastal areas, and by 2012, we were supposed to have lost most of our coastal areas, other countries, all of these things. But what we are seeing is climate change, which is real to a certain degree, because we live on a dynamic planet that has climate changes. And if we look back through the geological and the climate histories of our planet, we will see that this has happened. The most craziest thing I have heard out of this is that we have to get rid of the carbon dioxide. That it is bad because we've got too much. But yet they're the ones who have deforested the planet.
Right.
They have burned the trees and the plants have been destroyed that take this carbon dioxide in and return it to oxygen. The oxygen levels have been decreased. Well, I wonder why that is. Oh, it must be climate change. It can't possibly be that the corporate structure has raped this planet and destroyed its ability, its lungs. Your lungs are destroyed. The planet's lungs are destroyed. They destroyed the planet's lungs before yours were affected.
And asthma is on the rise, big time.
Exactly.
So there is a natural change. The earth changes, but there's also the manipulated geoengineering changes, and there's also the destruction, like you're saying, of the rainforest and the polluting of the waters and the corrupting of everything that was natural. So it's got nothing to do with, what'd you say that they're saying is the problem?
Carbon dioxide.
We need carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide creates life.
Yes.
Hello? Get it real, people. Anyway.
But yet they're putting this out there, this science, and I call it bunk science, right? Because it does not have the legitimacy of science behind it. It has the money of corporate behind it. The legislations that are being written for this agenda come from the UN. The UN is a corporate entity, the largest on this planet.
And plus they're blaming us for this problem. You're the problem. You people, you humans are the problem. Well, on some level we are. They say you got to lower your carbon footprint, but that's not the problem.
Well, the fact is that humans are the ones with the saws. Humans are the ones with the torches. And the humans are the ones who are overbuying and consumerism. So all that's part of the agenda. Get the people in. See, this is the tentacles
that leads to what we're talking about here, this apathy, okay? This is where what we're talking about, the dumbed down issue here, that they have taken all these pieces. It's a huge puzzle. There are many tentacles, and we're just talking about a few here that are affecting us, you know. So, and this is an agenda, definitely. So, we have cell and Wi-Fi, okay? You know, when the cell phones and all that stuff and the cell towers came out, there were people on it right away. Of course, the conspiracy nuts were on it, but they're nuts, so who listens to them? Now tests and studies are coming out about the cell phones do cause tumors and cancers, and the towers and all that stuff is affecting us. And so beyond the obvious consequence of this social experiment, where we have parents Facebooking while they ignore the tears of their child, and people on the bus become enraged and start yelling at the person to get the off your phone and pay attention to your child. Yes, that's an actual situation that did happen. I have seen this happen a few times, and sad, yet hopeful at the same time, as if no one had said anything. It would have been far worse, and that's true. So there was some empathy there instead of apathy with some of the people anyway. And mind controlled by cell phone, ? I see posts all the time about how the government will microchip the population, and I have to laugh at all these twits. Your iPhone is the chip, and one day I am sure it will be amalgamated into your biology one day, but more likely by frequency and none by force. No. All of the savory will be as it always has been, by free choice and willful ignorance. They both seem to come side by side.
I want to speak to that too. Do you remember when cell phones first came out? I saw a video of these three gentlemen who took a cell phone and they put it on the center of the table, and they put popcorn kernels around the cell phone, and then they turned the cell phone on. And it popped the kernels.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
That was a wake-up call. It let you know that there's radiation and heat coming off of this unit. Tell me, the manufacturers did not know this, right? They did not know this. Now we have Wi-Fi. If you go online and you do a search and look up, let's see, Wi-Fi saturation, visible saturation, you can find out that in apartment buildings, the Wi-Fi frequencies are like a soup. There are so many computers and TVs and things going off. All of these different radiations are what we're mucking around in. Now we have something better. Now we have 5G. And I was talking to Barb earlier today about the 5G network that is being tested, and I'm not sure exactly what country it's in. If you do a search, please do it on Wi-Fi or 5G network being tested. You should bring it up, or do 5G network being tested affecting cattle and people. It'll definitely bring it up. I read it today. There are cattle who were, they had this 5G network set up to test in this one area. It was a flat-landed area because there's less interference between the frequencies, so they wanted to see how well it did. Well, they started testing this 5G network, and the farmers from the surrounding area, their cows, suddenly started to freak out, started to act crazy. They were disoriented. They were running to and fro, and the people actually were experiencing the same symptoms from this 5G network. Now, of course, they're saying 5G is safe. No, it couldn't possibly be. But, however, it's only in this area. You know, they tried to say, well, no, it's something that is in, it happens all over, but it wasn't happening all over. It was only happening in this area where they were testing this 5G network. You know, and you have to know that the scientists behind this cannot play dumb and say, we didn't know. They cannot play dumb.
Well, this is a social experiment. They're experimenting on us, and animals too. I mean, that's what HARP is. You know, HARP is one of the first, you know, we could say possibly one of the first signs, you know, of what they were doing with this, you know, experimenting on people's emotions and minds. So then what happens? Keeping in mind here empathy and apathy, and all of these experiments, they are dumbing people down, and I know that's a harsh expression, but let's say that they're creating this apathy where people are unconscious, they're dispirited, they're bored, they experience indifference and lethargy. And so there was a lawsuit recently by this person who worked in a circumstance, I guess, where they constantly had a cell phone to their ear or whatever, and they got brain cancer. And in court, they proved that it was from the use of the cell phone, and he won the lawsuit. Are you going to throw your cell phone out? Are you going to stop using it that way or that often? I mean, do you care?
Well, listen.
How does this affect you?
Listen to this. My son just handed me this. Today, Verizon announced that it will be rolling out limited tests of its 5G network in 11 cities around the U.S. The test will involve select customers in those cities, and best of all, it's happening this year. The lucky cities are...
Oh, I'm happy.
The lucky cities are Ann Arbor, Atlanta, Bernardsville, New Jersey, Brockton, Massachusetts, Dallas, Denver, Houston, Miami, what's this one here? Sacramento, Seattle, and Washington.
Well, I'm curious to know where exactly, let's say, I want to say they're going to be specifically focusing on low-income areas for these tests. I bet you.
I don't know. It says here that let's see. Okay, those cities will have the opportunity to participate in the trial. It's not open to any Verizon customer. So don't start planning the road trip yet. Just to select customers.
Select customers, and it doesn't say who the select customers are, though, does it?
No.
Exactly. So just pay attention. Keep paying attention to where that's going to go, because got to keep on top of it, because they don't do these social experiments on the rich. They just don't. They do not. And don't forget, I don't know if he mentions this or not, but your microwave, you know, here's one thing you can do immediately. If you have a microwave in your kitchen, get rid of it. You don't need a microwave. Take a little more time to cook your food for you and your children. You know, I'm just saying, when the microwaves came out, my hair stood on end. I said, are these people crazy? Well, yes, they are, and they don't care. But it's quick, it's fast, it will help you in your, you know, you can get to here and there and wherever you need to go in a hurry.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say, because I was on mute, you could hear me, but they couldn't hear me. We will get to the solutions in the second hour. It's usually what we do. We handle the issues in the first hour, and we get to the solutions second hour.
So now we have television programming. Yes, it's programming. I have often wondered the reasons for the fantasy and the perfect Hollywood life and family, and what was wrong with all the fantasy and illusion until I made the connection with what all of the other institution objectives were. Like debt-savory Hollywood is occupying your mind, and the life with all the things that you want and need, like the family you want, the woman or the man or the job or the money or the car, the house, the holiday, the fantasy, the magic, all the things and lifestyle that you can have, but want it, desire it, but you can never catch it. It's like it gives you this hunger, right? Hollywood and Disney reinforce a life of fantasy and the want and the need to always be somewhere else, never living in the moment or never happy with what is real. To be a consumer and to always equate things with happiness. Boy, are they good with that. Just pay attention. You can see it, when in fact happiness is a state of mind. I equate it to my daughter one day who kept saying she could not wait to go camping, and she said this so many times. I said, you are so excited to be camping that you cannot enjoy the day at the pool or time doing crafts with me, Dad, your dad. Life is short. Let's not spend it waiting to be anywhere else. Let's enjoy where we are and create and manage the now. I recall a better example of this where I was in a store buying my ex some groceries, and she was impatient, honking the horn and calling my cell. I took my time, but when I came to the car, I whispered in her ear, I imagine if you had thought about what a great quiet moment to spend time talking to your daughter. Sometimes life is exactly what we want. We just don't see it for what it is. And that's what TV is reinforcing. TV will have you wake up one day near death, and it will be a blur of missed opportunities. TV programming is also more obvious in its agendas to introducing government propaganda, for instance. Prior to wars, we see media referring to Gaddafi regime, Saddam regime, Assad regime. It's very purposeful and always justified with crimes they committed against their people. But as the gas attacks both in Syria and Iraq have been proven to be CIA lead, or the shootings of protesters, CIA-trained mercenaries in both Syria and Ukraine, okay, it seems the only ones that believe the media have other things in common, like they don't eat organic food. Maybe they are vaccinated, or they watch the news as if it were undeniable facts without question. With 1 million dead Iraqis and Libya, once considered the jewel of Africa, imagine that, and with the highest standard of living, now named as the failed state living in terror with murder, rape, and poverty fairly beyond hell. How can Americans, or the world for that matter, believe that we are liberators of anything but freedom, wealth, and life? I believe the answer is as simple as this: your TV. Very possibly. There's other things, of course, I believe involved as well. But there's that, remember the word, apathy, again. Want to say anything on?
Yeah. This is the crux of the situation with the apathy, is our lives are planned out for us. And they are planned out by the technology that we are allowed to have. And I say allowed to have because there are technologies that are not harmful. There are technologies that can replace every harmful technology that we have. They're not being implemented, and they won't be implemented. The television, Bernays, he's the one who knew way back when that the way to get to people is to make them think that it's all their choice, that everything that they do is because they chose to do it. And they give us this magic box that we can tune in. You can get your cable company and get 500 channels from around the world. So much information in that TV that you could sit there all day just going through channels and watching what's on. And it's a great tool. It is an awesome tool for knowledge in the right hands. But it is the same technology, the same people behind that technology that are behind the cell phone technology, that are behind the government, that are behind the vaccinations, that are behind the health system, that are behind the chemtrails, that are behind the corporate system. And it has been taken over and utilized. And it is programming. Everything you see, even the comedy sitcoms that you're watching on TV, all of those have a message that they're giving out to you. Each and every show you watch, every time you see a commercial, these are imprints being placed into your mind, into your child's mind. And the flicker rate, they talked about that way back when, that if you sit long enough in front of this TV and experience this flicker rate, that your subconscious opens up and is more easily accessible to suggestion. So we know that they've been doing this for a long time. It's not like this is a new thing that we just found out. We've been being manipulated for a very, very long time. There are solutions. There are solutions. All of these things, we have a way to get around them. That's where we need to be. We need to know what the issues are, and then we need to provide the solution. And the way that we get the information out there is the same media that is being used against us. Our social medias. If we use our technology and embrace it to the point of reaching out to other people, then we've done something good. And we can see that we are doing that right now, what we have been doing for the last 15, 16, 17 years of hardcore truthing out there. We have made a difference. We can make a bigger difference, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. We're going to take a short break, and I want to lighten the mood a little bit because it does sound like we are under this bubble that we can't get out from under, that things are crashing down, and that we can't do anything about it, that it's out of our control, that we have no remedy. But that's not true. That's the lie. That's the lie that they give us. And we're just not going to take it anymore. We don't have to buy their lies anymore. We just got to convince the rest of the people that they don't have to buy the lie. And we'll talk about that when we come back. But I'm going to play, I got a funny commercial I want to play. And I played it before because it just makes me giggle and laugh. But it's so similar to what we see on our TV, This one involves tequila. You don't see that on TV, but it's a parody of these commercials that we see every day of our lives. And anyway, and then we'll play a little bit of song, and we'll be back. After that, you're listening to Turtle Talk with Barbara Three Crow and myself, Patty Walking Turtle. And we're talking about apathy. And society's engineered apathy and what we can do about it. So, see you on the other.
Do you have feelings of inadequacy? Do you suffer from shyness? Do you sometimes wish you were more assertive? If you answered yes to any of these questions, ask your doctor or pharmacist about tequila. Tequila is the safe, natural way to feel better and more confident about yourself and your actions. Tequila can help ease you out of your shyness and let you tell the world that you're ready and willing to do just about anything. You'll notice the benefits of tequila almost immediately, and with a regimen of regular doses, you can overcome any obstacles that prevent you from living the life you want to live. Shyness and awkwardness will be a thing of the past, and you'll discover many talents you never knew you had. Stop hiding and start living with tequila. Tequila may not be right for everyone. Women who are pregnant or nursing should not use tequila. However, women who wouldn't mind nursing or becoming pregnant are encouraged to try it. Side effects may include dizziness, nausea, vomiting, incarceration, erotic lustfulness, loss of motor control, loss of clothing, loss of money, loss of virginity, delusions of grandeur, table dancing, headache, dehydration, dry mouth, and a desire to sing karaoke and play all-night rounds of strip poker, truth or dare, and naked twister. Warning, the consumption of alcohol may make you think you're whispering when you're not. It's a major factor in dancing like a retard. May cause you to tell your friends over and over again that you're in love with them. Also may cause you to think you can sing. Alcohol may lead you to believe that ex-lovers are really dying for you to telephone them at 4 in the morning. Alcohol may make you think you can logically converse with members of the opposite sex without spitting. It may create the illusion that you are tougher, smarter, faster, and better looking than most people. And it may lead you to think people are laughing with you. Alcohol may cause pregnancy, and it also may be a major factor in getting your ass kicked. So what are you waiting for? Stop hiding and Start living with tequila.
Okay, and welcome back, everybody. And I want to give you a little bit of information. My son doing a little bit of research on the topic I was talking about earlier with the 5G test on the cattle. It was in the Netherlands, and it was a remote area where there were only, I think 5 farmers that were affected, their cattle affected, during this test of the 5G. 4 or 5, I can't remember. Yeah, so if you want it, my son said most of the articles will be in Dutch, but I found an English article, so you should be good to go on that. But yeah, what do you think, Barb?
Just what I said, a remote place, poor people, farmers, your average family type people, not any place where there's all kinds of big estates or big, the McMansion houses, no place like that. They won't do these tests there. So just what I said, I suspect it. They've always done these types of tests on the, the disenfranchised, on the poor, on the your average people,
Right.
So, yeah. I also want to say, Patty and I are the messengers. So I always say, don't shoot the messenger. It's not easy being a messenger, but why we're talking about what we just got done talking about. It's hard to hear these things, but we know it's important to hear these things. That's part of what we do. We find these things that are really necessary for people to awaken to see why are they sick? Why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening to me? What's going on? And, and of course, we are being inundated through the media. We are being inundated through many things that we just talked about, the water and everything, chemtrails and so on. And to me, solutions, we're going to go right into that, but to me, solutions are, we are not powerless. And we have free will, and we've been given that free will to choose. And when you have information, when you have information, the more information you have, the better able you are to choose what is best for you and your family. So that's why we talk about those things that are kind of make you squirm in your seat. But it's important. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, and the reason why they make us squirm in our seats because we need to get down. We talk a lot about getting down to the base of the problem. Society's all about treating the symptom, and that's really why we're where we're at right now. So yeah, Barb, it's more about finding the base of the problem and going there. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the truths are pretty raw, and yeah, I'm glad to be able to do it though.
Well, yeah, because it's very. I guess we feel very strongly because we know there are solutions. You see, we have to also talk about what we're up against in order that we can choose the solutions that will benefit us, and that's so that's why we are where we are, doing what we're doing. I hope you're all receiving something really important here for yourselves. And now we're going to get into, okay, what is going on here? This is sort of like a post-awakening challenge, And we found this link, and I think it really we'll talk about some other things, too, about the solutions that we feel strongly about. But this information here, I think, is a really key piece, because this is about people, let's say this is topic specifically for people after a big spiritual awakening. So we're talking to you guys out there who have had a shift, who have awakened to some degree, right? This is what we want to talk about, this piece. You're here with us. You're on the chat with us. You're listening. So that says something. That's a good thing. And that says something about who you are, too. So this is not for people who are generally disconnected, from their hearts, or they're still living in a teenage angst space of knowing that this world is screwed up, but not knowing how to change it. And, it is screwed up, but we have solutions. So this also isn't depression. and not meant to speak to chemical imbalances, okay? This is speaking to people who have awoken already, who have touched deep divine connection, which I feel is a very, very important piece, is your deep divine connection. And now what you're doing is you're learning how to embody that truth on every level from every part of your cells and your body and your heart and so on and so forth. So you've likely had a lot of stuff shift already in your inner world, which is also likely to have shifted a lot in your outer world. You may feel exhausted a lot as you feel yourself being completely restructured from the inside out. It's a very profound place to be, and it requires a lot of self-care. In an earlier blog on May 2011, this writer wrote about how spiritual self-work becomes self-care. And that is also a very big part of this because it's about body, mind, and spirit. It's an important distinction because after the awakening, you know there's no place to go, nothing to do, and nothing to earn. But you also know that you're not internally complete, so you have to learn how to care for yourself, or else you get lost in the gray indifference of apathy. And that's what we talked about earlier and what we want to eliminate. We want to have empathy, we want to be participating, we want to be compassionate, we want to be aware of what is really happening, to be able to make those healthy choices. So I'm going to go into nothing matters anymore. All is the same. Apathy likes to set in after this big shift. Okay, we're talking about the spiritual shift or the awakening. Apathy likes to set in after this big shift and before everything is really settled in to complete your shift. And here are a couple of reasons why. Number one is depletion. You're so energy tired. You may feel energy tired that you don't have the energy to do anything. You may become indifferent, partially because the ego part of you that's still clinging to control may feel defeated. And that ego hasn't fully let go yet. And that's blocking the deeper connection that will nourish you. And number two is the split. You're still trying to live in two worlds. Your old self wants one thing, and your new true self wants a different thing. So it makes everything look kind of unappealing, and you become indecisive and indifferent because of that split. So you could feel a little confused about these two sides of yourself. And number three is multiple deep healings. When your awakening is healing so much in you, each part may need a different type of activity, a shift or healing. You may only have energy for one because of the state that you're in. So bringing some gentle focus for one area of yourself to be healed may help to keep you from being so dissipated. Is there anything you want to add, Patty, before I go on? As the old ego is released, and I'm going to say, what does that have to do? The old ego is a lot of patterning since childhood that we've received and wrong information, or let's say negative information, that has sort of ruled our lives. But as that old ego and those patterns are released, we can tap into a deeper flow that helps us to feel connected at all times. And in many ways, this specific kind of apathy is a disconnect. It's a sign that we need to find a way to reconnect again. Self-healing and healing practices are needed. So another way to look at this post-spiritual awakening time frame before everything settles into you is to look at it as being a car with one engine out of you and a new one about to go into you, a new engine. It's really hard to do anything or go any place. A part of your ego probably thinks it still needs to be doing something. And as I mentioned, the ego is still clinging to control. It becomes extremely evident where we are still trying to hang on to our control because it becomes an intense energy blockage. We are getting in the way of the deeper flow that is now freely moving through us, or at least trying to freely move in spite of whatever we are doing. So this is very different than what happens for most people before awakening. Because before awakening, self-work is critical for most people. You haven't opened yourself up, and many ideas around what openness is in spiritual circles are actually very immature. Just gushing your heart out towards people is kind of silly and often shows your own needs and your own desires to help or to be validated versus actually being sensitive to the deeper needs of the situation. Certainly there are worse hobbies to have, but in this instance and many others, doing your own spiritual work is critical to create space for awakening to germinate and bloom. After that, the type of self-care and healing that is needed is very different, although there is some overlap. But you have to bring that energy inwards and not be depleting yourself through old, unhealthy ideas about maybe helping others or overextending yourself, I'm going to add. If you cannot help yourself, you cannot help others. Do you want to say anything? Deep wounds requiring more connection. Now, oftentimes people come to the spiritual path because nothing else can heal them. Everything else leaves them wanting and still feeling the hurt that is inside them. When awakening arrives for them, it begins to clean out those old injuries, which can require a tremendous amount of love and also energy. The more deeply hurt someone is, the more help and love that individual often needs to clean out those wounds. It's not that you can't do it by yourself, but a lot of times it's nice to not have to be the patient and doctor at the same time. Of course, that depends on the issues. Physical abuse, rape, and other heavy issues can require a lot of energy work, and having a dedicated healing practitioner, a psychologist, or other helpful healers, this can be tremendous support for you as you rapidly release negativity, pain, and toxins on psychological, emotional, physical, and psychic levels. And during awakening, the whole clean out is actually going on. So, lost in grayness. What's particularly strange about this space is because of how much it feels like the polar opposite of bliss and deep spiritual connection. It's almost trying to masquerade as a kind of really messed up enlightenment because everything just feels equal and equally uninteresting. It also feels like there's nothing that you can really do right, so why do anything? Everything feels gray and even unsatisfying in a very deep and upsetting way. Now, to offer a frame of reference, the enlightened part feels like everything is equally beautiful and there's no wrong way to live your life. So there are two very different spaces, for instance, and sometimes you simply have to be with that deep apathy. And sometimes you have to find some kind of energy healing or source connection to replenish you. And sometimes you have to dig down a layer into your ego that's still trying to hold on and practice letting go even further. It really depends on what's going on for you. And sometimes in that gray place or that grayness, things are particularly messy. A lot of you have multiple issues being cleared at once. And with parts of you not fully letting go, you cannot keep yourself connected to source appropriately. Bringing your focus on one thing to heal at a time may be helpful to make a process that can feel overwhelming a little bit more tenable. It's not that you can manage your awakening exactly, but awakening energy is very smart, and we're talking energy here. I found that I can hold conversations of sorts with my energy to help it know what I need. But in turn, I have found that there are times when I have to make space just so it can run and do what it needs to do. You want to say anything about that?
There I am. Okay, I'm back on air. Well, I've been watching this conversation in the chat, so would like to respond to that too in a little bit. But you know, the thing of it is that if we, each individual, can experience an awakening, a spiritual awakening, which we are seeing, and on many different levels, in many different aspects. There are as many awakenings spiritually as there are ideas and creativity to think of it. In other words, what I'm saying is it doesn't have to do with the church. Spiritual awakening is the connection. It's a simple connection that we come here with, and that we lose along the way. It's not that we lose it because it's always there. We forget to listen and to remember and to interact with that connection. This is their way of manipulating us, of taking us away from this connection. It has been, it always has been, that connection that is the key. Because if we can remember that we come from this pure energy, that we are this pure energy, and we realize how powerful that energy is, we have the ability at that moment in our lives to change the world. And we know this. This is what I was talking about on the chat. We think that life has to be the way it is. Right now, even those who are aware and awake and are spiritually connected are still seeing the world and in the terms that it's been given to us. They rationalize their lives around this in what they are able to choose and what they're not able to choose. There are some of us who speak out, a lot of us who speak out, and a lot of us who have done and made the changes and use that power. And it has worked. It never has not worked. That's the simple thing of it. That is, and the power that I'm talking about is choice. The power that we have in this world is greater than the massive power that all the evil has. And each individual has that power. And that is in our choice. The problem that we have is the disconnect between our choice and the choices they give us. So we're in this world living this reality that we know is harmful, that we know is killing us, that we know is the root of all our issues. This construct of reality that we are living. And we know where we need to go. We've always known where we need to go. If you have a refrigerator and you go and you buy groceries and you come back, but you realize that that refrigerator got unplugged and all the food that's in it now is bad. But you got all this good new food, so what are you going to do? Are you going to put that food on top of all that old food in there? Or are you going to take all of that out, every bit of it? Just take every bit of that rotten food out of there, clean that son of a gun out, and put your good food in there. That's what this is where the disconnect is. We cannot build on this reality and make it work for us. It can't be done. It cannot be done. Look at history. All the changes that have been made, tried to have been made to bring peace, to bring abundance, to bring equality. You cannot change this system because it doesn't have the ability to change. So, what's our choice? To continue fighting this system and trying to change it, or do we really want to make the change and the commitment and the sacrifices that come with it? This is the ground that we stand on now. if we truly want abundance, if we truly want health, if we truly want peace, if we truly want to experience life as it was meant to be for us, as it was meant to be for our children, then we have to get rid of the old and rotten altogether. We can't keep any of it. It's not any good. And in the interim between cleaning it out and being able to put the new food in, there is going to be sacrifice. I'm not saying that it isn't going to be hard, but what are you living today? How many millions of people are dying every day in wars, from famine, from disease? How many loved ones have you lost to cancers, to depression, to murder, to suicide? How many? What is the cost worth to you? The sacrifice of getting rid of the old, the rotten, and having to be in a, I'll say it, it will be like a void at first, where people will be in fear because they've never stepped out of this system before. And I understand that, and I understand how hard that must be and has to be. But stepping out of the system and having people there, and they are there. Just do a search on the internet for people who have stepped out of the system already. People who have ideas, people who have solutions that need to be implemented but can't because the system won't allow it. And in the interim, we reach out to each other, not away from each other. We reach out for a future, not for our egos, not for profit. Profit is part of that system that we need to throw away. Profit is that big, rotten melon sitting on that top shelf. And it has to go. We have to evolve past the need to be paid to do the right thing. There is nothing that we create today that we cannot create without money. It's the system that says, this is your perimeters, these are the only choices you have, that says that money has to be the key. We have to rearrange our minds and be willing to make that sacrifice. Because if we don't, then we are still in the same position that our ancestors were when this all began. Doing the same things that they did. Fighting the same system that they did. It will never end until we end it. And I'm sorry I didn't mean to go on that rant, but I did, and that's the way I see it. Barb?
Well, I think that, first of all, what I would say was, I'd agree with you, it's the system that will never end. Okay, but, so that's why we keep saying get out of the system, all right? The system is what it is. It has been this way for millennia. It is an agenda, okay? We've talked about why, and we've talked about the New World Order. We've talked about the dark. We've talked about all of that, what is really going on. But here's the piece that we're sharing now about that. The piece, the number one piece is how can you get out of the system? You have the ability to get out of the system. Incrementally, you can get out of the system. Some people are getting out of the system, you know, on a larger scale. It doesn't mean that you have to do that. But first, I think that it's about the understanding of who you really, truly are. That's one solution right there, right off the bat, that you are so much more than you have been told that you are, that your parents were told that they were, and on and on and on through generations. We are so much more. And this is a piece right off the bat that will take you a couple of steps away from the system. When you start to identify yourself as so much more than what they have programmed you to believe about yourself. They've programmed you to believe that you're powerless, that you're helpless, and that you must do this and thus and so on to be acceptable and to make it and to be successful. All of those are lies. And so you have to come into your own consciousness. You have to come into a relationship with your own self, your own spirit within you, and identify who you really truly are. You are not part of the system only if you choose to be. And of course people are choosing that because they've been programmed to believe that's the only way. But I'm telling you that that is not the only way, and Patty's telling you that is not the only way. We cannot change that system, but we have the power to change ourselves. And when we change ourselves, those around us, our loved ones, will be affected by that, and we can lead the way. So it's very important that to begin with oneself is the key piece here. And don't get overwhelmed with I've got to make everybody change and I've got to shift this one and that one, because that's distraction, of course, and that's going to detract you from what you really need to do to create health and well-being for your body, your mind, and you know that that's who you are. You are a body, you're a physical being, you have that mind, and you will also have a spirit embodied within you. That is who we are. We're all like that. You have to identify the fact that for generations the system has been fulfilling its agenda. And the awakening, that is that you identify.
Okay, folks, we're going to go to a song break real quick so I can see if we can fix the sound situation, and we will be right back. All right. Welcome back, everybody. And having a little bit of Skype issues, and I'm sorry if you couldn't hear Barb with that last. And of course, once you're on a roll and a rant, it's hard to take such a break. I had to shut down twice and everything. So, but anyway, I think that the purpose of our show today was to. It was twofold, really, to get the awareness out there that apathy is really our greatest enemy at this point. As far as reaching the people, we have to find a way around that. The solution to that is multifaceted. In other words, there are ways that we can go about this. There are choices that we need to make. We can't make the hard choices until we get the people on board. So this should be our main objective right now, and understanding that everybody out there is suffering the same disease. We are all sick in this respect. We need to change the way that we do put the information out there. We need to be positive in ourselves and in what we are putting out there. We need to realize that the people that we're talking to are not evil people. They're not doing what they're doing because they want to see things fail. They want to see people suffer. They want wars. These people are like everyone else. They have been under a pandemic of social disease and manipulation for generations upon generations upon generations. family after family after family, society after society after society. This is an illness that affects each and every one of us in varying degrees. Even the most awake of us is still suffering from this disease. The fact that I'm on the radio talking to you now. And it is my hope that one day that we won't need to have to share knowledge this way. That maybe one day we will have reached a point in our lives where we can look at each other as equals, where we can look at each other without judgment, without avarice, without angst, because we don't believe like each other, we don't think like each other. You know, the things that separate us, that divide us, are so minuscule and petty. They have no true meaning, and they have no solutions to offer. So we need to change our minds. We need to change our bodies. We need to change our spirits. We need to change our energies. And we need to look at these people as being sick, like we are. We have the cure. We have the solutions. We just need to start implementing them and stopping the hate, stopping the manipulation, stopping the need for people to fear, stopping the need for people to be in chaos, to fear us, to fear what we have to say. You know, there are many ways to go about this, but I'm going to turn it over to Barb right now and let her take it from here. Go ahead, Barb.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Patty. Well, you know, it's hard to recall what I was saying because it was just coming through so strongly. Like I said to Patty, when you're in a flow and a roll and you're getting downloaded with information, you know. But I think a very important piece is that why I do this kind of research and offer this kind of information is for my own personal knowledge, so that I know what I am up against, so that I can make healthy choices. And that's why we're sharing this with you. And then we also offer these solutions. And I wanted to say, I think I was saying that we are so much more than we've been programmed to believe that we are. And some of what we've talked about is overwhelming, but it is not fixable for our own self. We have to come to terms with what is going on in our life. We can't fix others. We can't change the system. The system is in place. It will remain in place. It's been in place, but we can change our own experience here on this Mother Earth. We have the ability to do that. We are not powerless, which they tell us frequently that we are powerless, or you may believe that you are powerless, but you are not powerless. So we have our own conscious awareness, and this is why we keep saying get out of the system, because it is the system that corrupts your conscious awareness. It is the system that pulls you and draws you into a programmed behavior, for instance. I would say ask yourself what you're doing every day. Am I doing this because this is something that I consciously want to do? Is this my own inner wisdom that is guiding me here, or am I being programmed through media or beliefs that I have taken on that are false beliefs that program me and basically manipulate my whole life? And this is one of the solutions, is to begin to know yourself. Begin to question yourself. Is this for my highest good? Is this for benefit and highest good for my children or my family? You know, so pay attention to what you are being ruled by or what is running your life, because there is something running your life and ruling you, but you are also so much more than that. You have a spirit within you. You are a physical being. You have a mind. You know, and you can question that mind. If the mind gives you something, you can go, wait a second, is this mine or is this some, you know, vague program that I've taken on or some intrusive energy, we have the capacity to question, and we also have the capacity to feel if this is a positive, to feel the energy of this, is this a negative? This is another solution. And then you are empowering yourself and taking more control over how you function on a daily basis. What are the choices that you are making? Again, it's to understand how controlled our daily experience is very important. That's why we were sharing that information in the first hour, is to help you to become empowered, to know what may be affecting you, what may be manipulating your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your health. So this is why this information is very important. And then, of course, there are the solutions. There are many solutions. And as Patty often says, just, do the research. There are so many solutions. Some people are leaving the system incrementally. Some people are just getting out immediately of the system. That's their choice. They have figured out what will work best for them. Maybe it is just getting rid of your microwave oven, like I suggested earlier. Maybe it is killing your TV. I do not own a TV. It's been 25, almost 30 years since I threw my TV out. I do have a computer. I use it for research and so on. But again, we have to be very careful because, now it's sort of like there's a lot of fake things going on out there. But you have an internal tool that was gifted to you, and it is called discernment. And the discernment tool, again, is about energy. When you question something, you feel an energy around it. It will always give you an energy. So if you question, is this a truth? Feel that energy. Is this a negative? Is this false information? You listen and feel. You will receive guidance and information. But again, this is about making a choice of reconnecting to the wisdom that is within you, that is within every one of us, that has been corrupted by, the agenda. So we are so much more than we have been told, and that's what I want, pretty much wanted to share with everyone, to not despair. Definitely do not despair. Take charge, determine, decide, I guess you could say, choose to be in control of your own experience here on the Mother Earth. What is it that you choose? You can choose to be, participant or involved in nature or in community or with family. You can choose that, or you can choose to go to the mall and shop all day, or you can choose to watch, some of these shows, and I don't know what they are because I don't have a TV. You can choose that too, or you can choose to, to be quiet, silent, make some good food. These are all choices that we can make to change our lives, but I guess what I'm saying is, don't think that you cannot change your life. Don't think for 1 minute that you cannot create and manifest a better, more joyous, peaceful life for yourself, more healthy life for yourself. And this spiritual awakening process, because you are all on that pathway to awakening. You are all on different levels of spiritual awakening. Everyone is on a pathway. Some are in a different level, others are not. It doesn't mean that they're less or more. It's just the pathway that we are on. And so when you choose to say, I am going to be the one to make the decisions or determinations about what I do every day, and I'm going to choose some really healthy things. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to sit under a tree, or I'm going to reach out to a friend or someone. I'm going to get involved in a service community, something along those lines. I'm going to get out of this system by getting rid of my TV or cutting down my watching time for TV, or maybe getting off of your cell phone or getting off of Facebook, or put some healthy boundaries in your life. You can choose to do that. And pay attention how that feels, you know. That will tell you whether you are manipulated or controlled by these various technologies or medias. You will feel a hunger or a thirst if you are controlled. If you're not controlled, it will be easy for you to say, I'm going to cut back my time doing this and so on, so I can spend time outside, or so I can, you know, go for a walk or a hike or get to be with some friends. So I'm just saying, you are not powerless. You are more than you have ever imagined you are. You are body, mind, and spirit, and that is the whole self. And so start taking care of the whole self. And I will always say to everyone who asks me what to do, what can I do? How can I free myself? How can I prepare? How can I strengthen myself? How can I have inner peace? My response to them is always to get right with your spiritual garden. Get connected to your spiritual source. Build your foundation. That is what will move you through anything that comes to you that is challenging. And that's what I want to leave you with, and I thank you for listening to the Maya.
Well, we have a question from Haggy Shack Radio, the chat room, from Just to Do It. How about if your spouse is not on board? And it is a good question.
Yes, it is. And listen, I have had that happen in my life, and it was either my health and my well-being, or what was I going to choose? I guess I spent a lot of time with that person waiting for the change, waiting for them to shift. And there came a time when I realized that was not going to happen. I guess you could say, well, the system isn't going to change either, and the system isn't going to become healthy. So get out of the system. I'm not saying get out. I'm not saying leave anybody. I never advocate that unless someone is being violated, physically. But there is emotional violation. I think it's about, again, I had to come to terms with my own health and well-being because it was making me ill. And I chose to do what I needed to do for my health and well-being. I gave plenty of time, plenty of chances, plenty of opportunities, and it wasn't going to happen. That's a difficult thing, and I found out that I can't drag anybody to health. I can't drag or push or prod or, scream at anybody to get healthy or to change or to. It's impossible. We cannot do it. It's not our job anyway. It's difficult, but I guess that's a choice. You have to make a personal choice. You can choose to stay in a situation where there is no personal advancement for yourself and healing and peace and well-being because you're in an environment that keeps dragging you back into that lower frequency. So it is personal choice, and I think if you, and I have also seen this, that if you really work hard upon your own self, holding your frequency in your heart in compassion and not reacting, not being triggered by this person, you may very well make a difference two ways. Either you are become, pretty much unaffected by that person, and you can be in that space with that person if that's a loving person, but they kind of have, messed up issues. As long as they're not a physically harmful person, you could choose to do that, or you may very well begin to shift that person. But it's going to take a lot of love, a lot of patience, and a lot of non-reacting to that person's behavior. Because that person, I call them the petty tyrant. If they're pushing your buttons, yeah, we push their buttons too. That's why you're together, pretty much doing that dance. If you break the pattern, it will be difficult for that person because that person expects you to dance, expects you to react, that expects the same old. So when you begin to change and heal and do not react and do not, carry on and get all emotional as we do because it hurts, that may shift everything. And it may come a time, if you do achieve that, that you may clearly be able to say, okay, it is time for me to move on. And I can't tell you that that will happen right now. I can't tell you if it will ever happen. It's your personal journey and your experience, but to me, it is about your own self-healing and empowerment in a beautiful, sacred way, one from the heart, not from being coarse or rude or reactive. So I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you, Barb. And I would just like to say that, do you know, it would be good if you knew why he was not on board. What were the issues that were keeping him from being on board? Is he in fear? Is it cognitive dissonance? If you're dealing with this, then you would probably be best to deal with it how you would deal with anyone else in that respect, as long as there's not an emotional issue there between the two of you. If you have a good relationship, then appeal to his logic. Sit down with him and say, look, get a pad. Put a pad there, put a line down the middle of the pad, and put pro and con. Staying in the system, the pros and cons of staying in the system. What happens if you stay in this system? Write all of those things down. Okay? What are the cons? We know what they are. Are there any pros? I don't think so, but maybe you might come up with one or two. I don't know. And then make another pad with a line down the middle, pros and cons of getting rid of the system and walking away. Okay? The cons are going to be that it's going to be rough, that it's not going to be like anything you've ever had to deal with, but you can do it. And the pros are they definitely speak for themselves. Put that list down there and then show that to him and say, what do we want to do? What do we want our children to experience in their lives? Do we want this, what society has given us? Or is this what we want? And which one are we going to work for? You know, appeal to his logic. Other than that, I only have one more thing to say, and that is, you know, I've known a lot of strong women in my life. I've been blessed to know so many strong women. And if there's one thing that I know, it's that what a strong woman can do to change her husband's mind. You know? Just saying. Just saying. Anyway, it's been a really good show, guys. Thank you so much for listening, for the participation. I really did enjoy this show, for the comments and everything. Please check the links out that we put in there. And do not forget, go to HaggieShack.com and check out Haggie Shack Radio. And we have a new website coming up. We'll have that put on our website so that you can get to it on the 15th. We will be moving. It'll be moving day. And thanks to Haggie Shack Radio. And we love you guys. I'll give you the last word, Barb, and then we will be out of here. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I was typing away. I didn't know I wasn't muted, and I just want to thank everyone and thank Colleen so much and all the listeners. Really love you guys, and see you next week. Elamaya Doksha.